I was born in Houston to a couple of teenagers. My father took up plumbing after dropping out, and my mother began a career of office work after receiving her GED. The modest house they bought in 1989 led our young family to a lower middle class home in West Houston. My parents divorced just before entering middle school. For the next decade, my sister and I had front row seats to witness challenges a single mother can face, like dating and money problems. Money did become tight, and warnings were communicated about future expenses in my coming teenage years, like a car insurance, and cell phone. My mother bluntly told me these were to be my expenses. I applied to HEB shortly after my 16th birthday and was given a job there on the spot. I liked being away from home and working with others in a social setting like a grocery store. As my high school years went on, my mom's dependence on alcohol and less than stellar men grew. My mother's put me in many tricky situations in my life. She has a big heart, but many times she showed me the kind of person I didn't want to become. I am now thankful for these experiences, no matter how trying they were. I was always a good kid, but I was mischievous and reckless. I partied myself and did dumb things. In school, I was in and out of the assistant principal's office. I've also gotten in trouble with the law a few times throughout my teenage life. However, I was always a good student and a good athlete, which kept me in school. After a campus tour, I fell in love with Texas State and knew I wanted to go there. I applied and was accepted. The decision to leave home for San Marcos may have been the most important choice in my life. I needed to get away and find myself, and I did. I played for Texas State Rugby and wound up doing play-by-play for baseball, softball, and basketball on the student-run radio station. I was also a sports reporter for the school's TV news program, Bobcat Update. This is where I met my beautiful wife, Mandy. 10 years later, and we are now married with a sweet 5-month-old baby boy, Remington. This past month, we bought our first house in South Austin. It's amazing how much personal growth I've gone through with her by my side. She has always supported me. She supported me when I was offered a seat at South Texas College of Law in Houston. I ultimately didn't go, but I did become a TV reporter in Waco instead. She supported me even though this meant a slightly long-distance relationship. I quit TV to be a roughneck in the East Texas oil field. This meant being away from home 2 weeks at a time. She still supported me. Now I'm a teacher going for my master's. I would not have come to this decision without her further support. Without my wife, Amanda Dugan, none of my life's dreams and goals would have been obtainable. I fail to see any of my physical traits in my 5-month-old son Remington, and given my wife's natural beauty, I'm fine with that. His eyes, his nose, his ears all look like my wife's. I wish I had dimples like little Remy. Our friends and family tell us they can see both of us. I don't know. Maybe he will inherit my personality or sense of humor to even out the sides. However, Remy is still a bald baby, and because of this, there is a glimmer of hope that he will inherit my most prized possession, my red hair. Growing up with red hair is a blessing and a curse. Every male Howell born in the last 80 years has had the recessive allele on their 16th pair of chromosomes that produces a mutated version of the melanocortin-1 or MC1, a receptor protein. This causes red tint in hair. Carrot top and ginger, red-headed stepchild, I've heard it all. It's teasing and mostly playful, but after years it becomes your identity. You get thick skin because of it. I believe this unique trait that only 1 to 2% of the world owns has helped toughen me up. And just FYI, you know what the most bought hair color product is? Yeah, it's red. People are just jealous they don't have what I do. I don't dwell on the fact I have red hair. I embrace it. When I think about my culture, my family, friends, and hometown doesn't come to mind, but the great state of Texas does. I'm often more proud to say I'm Texan than American when traveling abroad because it elicits a different kind of response. Texas is associated with cowboys and open range and cows, barbecue and football. The stars at night are big and bright. If you just clapped in your seat, you're on my level of Texan pride. One thing we are known for is our kindness and friendliness. After all, Texas comes from the East Texas Caddo Indian word Texas, meaning allies or friends. Even today, our state motto is simply friendship. In this tough, stressful world of today, I think it's important to be mindful on how you treat others. It takes effort to be kind. So if you aren't being kind, you aren't making an effort. And if you aren't making an effort, you don't seem to care, so it seems. You don't have to be friends to be friendly. You can toe that professionalism line with a rope of friendship. It must be possible. In looking at my future as a leader in public education, I must be mindful of my attitude and temperament towards others when my own workload becomes burdensome. Being an assistant principal at a 6A high school in Texas cannot be easy. There is a litany of serious responsibility, but when the going gets tough, one must not alter the way he treats and communicates with others. Being thoughtful, kind, and empathetic towards others will garner respect from subordinates. This course has been an invaluable asset in understanding the person I've become, the teacher I am, and the leader I strive to be. This class has forced me to reflect deeply into my life experiences. In doing so, I often found myself feeling depressed or ashamed about my upbringing. My parents did the best they could in raising a respectable young man, but there were many instances where I learned hard lessons from making mistakes and getting into serious trouble firsthand. I also had to reflect on my own career. I've been a law student, a television reporter, a roughneck in the oil field, and now a teacher. But I prefer mentor. Mentorship because that is what I value in public education. Every teacher is responsible for the TEKS, but where my job is so impactful is in helping students become great human beings. I teach the Colombian exchange, but I preach kindness. I talk about revolution, but I'm more concerned about the evolution of the 14-year-old in front of me. Maybe it's because I didn't have that type of support myself. Communication with an honest feedback loop is something I will aim for as a leader in education as well. Peter Block wrote of social capital and how the core task of leaders is to create the conditions for civic or institutional engagement. They do this through the power they have to name the debate and to design the gatherings. However, too many people prefer the talking aspect of communication. I argue the listening is the more important part. With listening, you understand the needs and concerns of the student, staff, and community. As a leader, listening is vital to enact action that will provide results for said needs and concerns. We can change the world if we just start listening to one another again. According to my lifestyle's inventory, I need to be more powerful and more oppositional. My kindness should not be viewed as a weakness to peers. I also need to take a note from critical theorists in examining systems at play. It's critical theory that can bring about real change to inequity that seems so inherent in today's school structure. Who are these people that make decisions that yield such important consequences for others? How did these people come to be the decision makers who have so much power? Changing lives is one thing, changing a system is another. I need the ability to question everything through a different perspective with facts to make a positive impact on the education of children in public school. Don't submit to the status quo, but don't accept every new professional development as gospel either. It must make sense for your students and community. The enemy of change is fear. I know what needs to be done to lead effectively and be an advocate for positive change. The question is, will I do it? Will I have that courage? I say yes. I wrote earlier how self-reflection on childhood brings me down, but through this class I've realized that the hard times have made me a great man. I'm happy and proud of who I've become. I'm content in my world. I've been through trying times. I've struggled to find my way in different careers. But above all else, I never gave up. Fearlessness is stitched into my personal legend. In The Alchemist, Paulo Coelho wrote, "If a person is living out his personal legend, he knows everything he needs to know. There's only one thing that makes a dream impossible to achieve, the fear of failure." As a leader in a public school, I will make sure to listen first, critically analyze second, and take collaborative, decisive action with a fearless voice that addresses the educational needs of all children in the community to ensure equity in learning. My educational philosophy moving forward is simply this: listen, think, and act.